Here I thought I was done covering the Neil Gaiman situation because it can't get worse again. And sure enough, it's getting worse again. There's so much now. This is a lot of stuff piled, and I think he's completely sunk at this juncture. They are making memes of him now, so the Neil Gaiman subreddit banned talking about this, of course, as they are trying to ensure the purity of their discussions. I guess purity is kind of a bad word. Cleanliness of his discussions? Maybe for the bathtub. But now there's a new Neil Gaiman memes subreddit, and I found this yesterday. This is so funny. I posted it to the community tab. And we're going to go over more of those memes tonight on the live stream. We do stream at 4 p.m. Pacific, and I'll be posting about that on my Substack because a lot of people don't get notifications there, so do join us. And please hit the like and subscribe button if you're new here. We have a lot to unpack again about Mr. Tub Cuddles. Oh my gosh. Yikes. My name's John Delarose, everybody, and I do have my own graphic novel too, and I'm a writer. If you enjoy good quality science fiction content, please join the others who have backed this so far. 21,000, almost to 22. Thank you guys so much for the support. Grab the complete Ayla Rin Adventures. Get in on our awesome science fiction. That's in the description below. And I appreciate y'all for supporting us. It's been awesome with this campaign so far. So the news today, we have 2 more women accusing Neil Gaiman of sexual assault and abuse. This makes number 5. We had 2 from the original Tortoise podcast, which was the nanny of his child, or a babysitter or something like that. And the other one was a fan who he brought up to his hotel room. There was a third who came out on a separate podcast talking about how he manipulated her for months. And this one gets kind of gruesome, and it starts to paint a picture of another way that he just hires women in order to take advantage of them. And it's kind of gross. So if you're of a weak heart here, this is a spot to tune out. Go check out my graphic novel instead, because this gets into some sick stuff, as it typically does with Mr. Gaiman's accusations here. We've uncovered a couple other things that Tortoise in these podcasts didn't, which is the fact that there's writers' workshops that have Neil Gaiman banned from speaking. And there's another writers' workshop that actually has a Gaiman rule, they call it. When they tell new teachers to come in, which the Gaiman rule is don't sleep with the students who pay thousands of dollars to be there, to be with these celebrity writers and learn the craft. Apparently, he's got a reputation of that as well. At one of his publishers, it was also said that he was kept away from the young women at the publishing department there. So the guy's just got this power obsession over young ladies that he keeps pushing forward, and it gets worse again today. All right, so we've got more allegations. One goes back to 1986. And yet again, this is the craziest part. So the nanny he made sign a non-disclosure agreement about what was going on there. That's always telling to me. Why would you make somebody sign a non-disclosure? How can that even be legal? And here's another one, a non-disclosure agreement. This one with a $275,000 settlement attached to it. We thought it was weird when we were talking about this because the nanny allegations were in New Zealand, and that's where the police were actually investigating things. But Neil Gaiman hired an American lawyer at the time, and we're like, well, what's going on with that? And now we're about to find out why he's got an American lawyer attached, because there's just too many of these. So according to the new claims, he pressured a mother of 3 to sleep with him in return for letting her live with her daughters at his property, and made her sign a new non-disclosure agreement. A second woman says he jumped on her out of the blue in an aggressive, unwanted pass in the 1980s when they were both in their 20s. So here it is. So these came forward after the other 2 accounts. I think this is, again, we've reached the tip of the iceberg. So this is where he's called Mr. Tub Cuddles. One of these women, this is the first one, it claims he assaulted her in an outdoor bathtub within hours of meeting her. She was 22, he was 61. Went on to have rough and degrading sex with her over the course of 3 weeks. And he threatened to Minecraft himself when she said she was uncomfortable with it if she came out with it, and then made her sign an NDA. The other one was a fan, and said he went against her, penetrated her against her wishes when she was 22. Neil Gaiman says these accounts happened, but he just says they were completely consensual. That's the difference here. So he's not saying that he wasn't creeping on these young women. He's not denying any of that stuff. He's just saying, oh, they agreed to it, is the difference. So he did ask one of them to sign a non-disclosure agreement, which is the first of 2 known NDAs he signed with former sexual partners, suggesting weak confidence that his account would survive public scrutiny. So the 2 new accounts are published in another Tortoise podcast episode. And these Tortoise guys are really in depth, by the way. They spend months investigating this stuff and spend hours digging through documents, emails, messages, just to make sure it's not made up. The first one here, this is the first one we actually have a name. The 3 that have come before this all have gone under pseudonyms because they know there's one thing that happens in these accounts, by the way. When you talk about this stuff, you get death threats, you get people threatening violence against you, you get an incredible amount of hate poured on you. Just covering this stuff as a journalist here on YouTube. I mean, you guys don't know how much I get. I don't really air it too much because I don't want to play victim over that crap. It's just idiots on the internet. But these people who are fans of people like Neil Gaiman, and same thing with Ed Piskor. I got the Ed Piskor situation when I talked about this and the women came forward to me, which, by the way, even though it's tragic that the guy killed himself, those accounts still exist. That nothing changed there. And the women showed me some pretty gruesome stuff with that as well. But I got a lot of his fan base out there attacking really, really hard. So this is why people remain anonymous and don't want to be in the spotlight on this stuff. A couple of the women who talked to me on that situation are anonymous to this day. I've verified it, and I actually just took all those threats on their behalf on that front. But this is the same thing. Neil Gaiman fans are very rabid, and there's a lot more of them. These women have very real threats to them if they do come out. So here's one. The first one, Caroline Wallner, lived in a house on Gaiman's property in Woodstock, New York between 2014 and 2021 with her 3 young daughters, and until 2017, her husband. This one gets really weird. Alongside her work as a ceramic artist in a studio barn on the property, she and her husband worked for Gaiman and his wife, Amanda Palmer, including doing property maintenance, gardening, grocery shopping. They were just like personal assistant type people, I guess. And he was kind of a gardener. When her marriage ended in 2017, she said she was devastated emotionally. Gaiman told her ex-husband that there was no more work for him on the property. So he just went out there, and once their marriage ended, he's like, "Get away from them." He's being the good male feminist champion, and inserting himself into the situation. But the problem with that is that landscape maintenance was the family's income. So she now had no money, and she was completely dependent on Gaiman for work and housing herself. So this is where it goes. This is the situations. While she was in this situation, Wallner, then 55, said Gaiman began pressuring her for sex. Wow. She said there were little hints of, we're going to need the house, like he was going to take the house away from her where she was living if she didn't just comply with him. And she said, I remember saying, let's talk about it, let's figure it out. And that's when he would come into my studio and make me give him a BJ. Wow, this is creepy. There's no suggestion of physical force, but rather coercion in the light of her housing and family situation. This is sick stuff. I mean, my gosh, what a pervert. Waller said, and he can say it was consensual, but why would I do that? It's because I was scared of losing my place. This is a common form of sexual abuse of women who are just in trouble by guys who can do this kind of thing. It's really terrible. The UN defines sexual abuse as threatened sexual contact by force or coercive conditions. The UN's refugee policy, where Gaiman is a goodwill ambassador, of course, what a great feminist, has described the allegations against him as very serious, adding it's assessing the detailed reporting. During those intercourse deals with Wallner, she said, he used to say to call me your master, tell me you want it, tell me you want it, and he would choke me sometimes. Oh God, this man is so sick. He did this with the woman who came out a couple days ago too. He kept saying, "Kiss me like you mean it," to her, according to her allegations. Very similar stories here. She says one incident when she had fallen asleep reading in bed. When I woke up, Neil was in the bed and he put my hand on his penis. Wow, disgusting. Wallner said whether she resisted his sexual advances, Gaiman would tell her Palmer wanted the house back where she lived with her 3 daughters, as well as the studio she worked in. Now, remember with the nanny, he was paying her rent for several months as well. So he does this sort of thing where he gets these women trapped, according to these women, where they don't have a place to live, can't take care of themselves without him. He told her, "You take care of me, and I'll take care of you," understanding that what she meant to be a sexual trade. His position is, it was entirely consensual, of course. How many more of these are there going to be? Amanda Palmer still has not responded to any requests for comment. She's been completely silent on this. Neil Gaiman also has been completely silent on social media since all this stuff happened, and has also canceled public appearances. Very odd. So when Gaiman left during COVID, she felt relieved. He began sending her sexually explicit photos and videos of himself, asking her to send him ones of herself. She stopped answering his video calls in June 2021. She said his business manager said to vacate the property. So he was doing this for that. Yikes. Gaiman's position is this request was always a possibility, as Wallner had been living there with her family rent-free for 6 years and does not acknowledge whether they worked for him. So Gaiman's business manager offered her $5,000 for leaving the property, requesting she signed an NDA, of course. The area saw the highest house price of any growth in the U.S., of course. She was treated for depression, PTSD afterwards. And in 2021, they came up with an amount I feel justifies signing a release. I went through $300K is what I come up with, $150 for real estate issues and $150 for the sexual trade issues. Gaiman settled with her for $275,000 and a NDA agreement. Oh my gosh, crazy stuff. The NDA prohibits her from talking with Gaiman, family members, friends, or associates, or for filing, reporting, or prosecuting action or proceeding in any court or government agency before tribunal whatsoever. How can this stuff be legal? Wow. New York courts avoided NDAs that sought to frustrate official investigations, so I guess they're not playing with that type of stuff anymore, and absolutely wild. So she said she wanted to speak out because of a feeling of shame, of course. And then here's the second woman. That's probably the craziest one out of all of these so far, I think. Having a woman rent your house, having 3 daughters there, having her stuck, and then having it be a tit for tat thing on that. That's pretty wild. The second is a 22-year-old book publicist in '86. So this is again a woman working for the industry when he's a rising star. A power imbalance thing again. He was 25 at her studio flat. She said, "I have no memory of how he came to be back there. What I'm certain about is the romance was not in the cards, not for me. I did not believe it was in the cards for him." She said he made an aggressive, unwanted pass. He jumped on her out of the blue, forced his tongue into her mouth, pushed her on the sofa before she wiggled free. She then cut off contact. She says she now wished she had called him out back then. She's been plagued by the incident to this day. Gaiman, his account, is when he realized she wasn't receptive to his attempt to kiss her, he stopped. His position was that it's no more a young man's misreading a situation than his inclusion alongside the criminal allegations. So this is some wild stuff at this point. And now we have 5 women on record. We have the situations with the writers' workshops. We have the situation with the publisher. Looking really, really bad. And it really, really gross all the way around. Man. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out The Hidden Emperor on Kickstarter for good quality science fiction. Really appreciate you guys for all the support on the books. That's what we're really about here, is the books first and foremost. We'll be back soon.